Hello and welcome to today's video. This time we're going to be having a look through another box full of my vintage Penguin paperbacks, giving them all a clean and a tidy up and getting them looking as good as possible. So without further ado, sit back, relax and let's get to it. Okay then, so we'll work on these sort of as we go through them, and we'll give them a brush as well. There won't be any polishing this time round, I'm afraid to say, because these books are such a vintage, they don't have shiny covers, so we can't really get away with any polishing. So let's just have a look through this one. So this is 1951. So all the books we're going to look at today are all like 70 plus years old. And this one's fine, except, let's go. Well, first of all, it's got some tiny pencil on the front jacket there, WC something 52. That suspects that whoever had this bought it in 1952. As it was published in 51. There is some writing on the inside as well, so we'll get that off as well, just at the top of the spine here. And a 1 and 6 there. Okay. Right, now it's just a tiny little rising of the bottom of the spine, which I'm actually going to get a little bit of glue in. So let's clean off the end of my screwdriver here. So I use just this micro screwdriver. And I think a Pritt stick, and you can just sort of dab it in, because this is almost like, obviously it's glue, but it's almost like putty. It's very, very controllable, so you can slide it into the bits where you're having an issue with, hopefully. That bit does look quite brittle. Yeah, there we are. Just stopping it flapping around more than anything, you know. So that's that. That was the first one. The Waves, Virginia Woolf. I think, that's bottom of the spine there again. I think this particular run, we've got, every one. It's just a complete unbroken run. There's definitely a few that, if they're not already on my upgrade list, they're going to be put on my upgrade list, shall we say, But this one's absolutely fine. That's all right, it's just the bottom of the spine there, lifting up ever so slightly. So once again, a little bit of glue. Should be able to slide that under there, squidge it in, like so. Push it down, that should be enough to keep it in place. There we are, that's fine. Just going to stop it getting any more necks. The Chinese Room. And when you think of the age of these, they're, overall they're not too bad condition, but they're at a time when, certainly in the UK, there was a lot of reading going on. And books would get very much passed around and reused and sold through the second-hand system, things like that. There's a crossword book. Yet again, you often find a few have been attempted at the start, and then, for whatever reason, the person who bought it's just given up. So I tend to leave the crossword books as is. I don't go through every single crossword and try and tidy them up. It's just too big a job. But I've basically got 3 big stacks of penguins here, and I'll go through each stack rather, and then we'll give them all a brush off as we go along. So I don't know if you've been watching my latest videos, but I have been going through some of my sort of regular, well, my, not collection paperbacks, just stuff that I picked up to read, non-fiction, guidebooks, biographies, autobiographies, that sort of stuff, and that's all cool. The reader is warned. That's okay. I mean, it's sort of borderline. I'd like to have a better copy, but I'm okay with that one, if you know what I mean. I think I will pop this one on my upgrade list. So this is 813, Death in 5 Boxes. If it's not already there, of course. I think that might be ink on the front. Yeah. I thought that was pencil, but it's actually ink. So nothing we can do about that. This is a classic case of a crime novel which has been through probably a few people's hands and is not in the best of shape. We've got a split bottom spine there. It's not the most collectible of copies, but it's a stopgap measure for now. Here's another one. I think they released 5 Carter Dixons in a row. Penguin would do that. They'd do 5s or 10s or 3s sometimes of an author, all at the same time. So that one's much better. So my ultimate aim with Penguin initially was to get the first 1,000 complete and then go back and upgrade, but because as of now I found one recently, so I'm just down to 3 Penguins to finish the first 1,000 in first edition. I am actively trying to upgrade, and I have been for the last couple of years, and since I've been doing these videos, these cleaning videos, I've finally got round to giving the Penguins a really good upgrade and look over, really, to make sure I've not got anything which is a bit too far gone. And if I have, I just put it on the list, and I've been upgrading copies the last couple of years, and it's been very, very satisfying to get better copies of books. That, I mean, I've got one Penguin in my first house, it's got no back cover, but it is scarce, so I just got to wait for one to turn up, which may never happen, but at least I've got a copy, and that's sort of how I do these things. There we are. This is another Carter Dixon. She Died a Lady. 10 teacups. Oh, look at this, look at the writing in the back. Quite a bit. And someone's written something in the back here. It says, quite interesting, it says first published. First published on it, I can't quite make it out. Anyway, there's quite a bit of pencil here, but hopefully the pen I won't be able to touch, but the pencil I can take out. And it's definitely nothing important. You do sometimes find with crime books that people have a little try. They make a list of the characters, and they have a try, and they guess who did the murder or who done it. They try and deduct who might be the murderer whilst they're reading it, which I guess is quite a fun thing to do. Thankfully this pencil was applied really softly, so that's that bottom bit completely out. Let's try this stuff here. Some of this might possibly be in pain. This looks like they've made a note of every time they've reread it. Looks like they were rereading it once every few years. Maybe until they'd forgotten it. This paper does seem a little bit more brittle, like it's possibly been exposed to the sun a bit. So maybe this one's been sort of taken on holiday or read in the garden a few times, possibly, Yeah, that was the ink bit, wasn't it? Yeah. So, quite a bit of pencil there. But the rest of it, it's absolutely fine. So it's the 10 teacups. Yeah, it looks like there was 10 Carter Dixons all published at once. So he had a 10. Yeah, here we are, the Carter Dixon 10, there they are on the back. They did like to do that back then. Usually they would print 100,000 of each one to make the author an immediate Penguin million seller. Must have been very, very nice for the author. This, look, it's just literally popped off. The glue has dried out there. Now it is staying on the front edge, so we'll be able to get some glue in there in a moment. But this one, once again, it's probably been left out in the sun. It's dried the spine glue up and caused it to come away there. But we'll be able to fix that, no problem. So I tend to do with these, I don't want to glue in any dried glue, so I get the brush in there first of all, dislodge anything, a few bits of debris has come out there. So now we want to get the glue on, and we can be quite liberal because we have to do the entire spine. So yeah, I think that's pretty good. Particular attention to the top and bottom. And I'll fold this one, fold this back in. The book's really nice condition, in actual fact. It's just got that bit of a lean where it's been read a few times. It's obviously been read quite carefully, but it's alright. And that's exactly why we're doing this, because it's just tidying up the books that I've already got. I don't want to buy another copy of that just because it's got that wrong with it, not when it can be fixed. Generally speaking, this is quite a nice time for Penguin book design. I enjoy reading the books from this period, even today. It's a classic if ever there was one, eh? Evelyn Waugh. I've got an Evelyn Waugh special coming up on my other channel, where I'll be pulling out all of his books in vintage Penguin, because Penguin pretty much published them all. And do a little overview, a little mini biography of the writer. Still very popular today. This one, it's come away. Just saw that going through, and I see the boards come away. So not the greatest of copies of this. Let's see how best to fix this. Yeah, it's interesting that we've had a couple of books literally on the trot which have had bad bindings, and it could, sometimes it is just down to how the book has been treated historically. Other times there were little periods in book production history, and I've seen this with other publishers, where they just for a while used a particular sort of glue, and it meant that all the books from that period are not the greatest and things like that. You do see it now and again. So this is not perfect because it's an entire wedge that's come out, but over time on the shelf it'll be okay. But I don't have many books that are that bad with regards to the boards, so it's going to make this one difficult to read. And that ultimately is what it's all about. So I think for the time being, I'm going to put a copy of Brideshead Revisited, 821, Evil in War, on my upgrade list and see if I can come across a better copy of it. But that's actually the first stack. So if I clear the decks here a little bit, we need to give this first pile, which is admittedly the smallest pile, but we need to give these just a bit of a brush along the page edges to get the dirt off the tops, you know, which is mainly across the top edges there. Obviously some will be better than others, dustiness wise. Found one there. Looks like that top of that spine there is going to need a bit of glue, so we can do running repairs. Yeah, just need a smidgen of glue along the top, which I missed first time round. You see that little hole where it's risen up? So push it together like that. I said not untypical for crime titles to be affected this way, and we've got quite a bit of crime this time around, which isn't a bad thing. There we are. Right, so that is pile number one. I said admittedly the shortest of the piles, but still the first pile done. And they're all looking as good as we're going to get them. Let's get on to pile two. Okay, another Evelyn Waugh, handful of dust. In actual fact, this was when they published a few of his some of his earlier books that they hadn't published before in Penguin edition. So it'd be good to actually have a look at these and see what sort of condition mine are in. That's not great. But almost all of these I picked up out in the wild because I think they sold pretty well, you know. But I've never really sort of tried to hunt down top shape copies or anything like that, you know. And a lot of my collection from this era of Penguin onwards is stuff that I've pretty much sort of found out in the wild in a lot of cases, you know, or just in bookshops. It's not come through like dealer catalogues or anything like that. I think I will put that one on my upgraded because it's missing the bottom of the spine there, which hardly any of my Penguins do have. So 823, the loved ones, Evelyn Waugh. That's a double. how I'd like them, ideally nice and bright copies, you know. But not always the case, sadly. But that's a nice, probably unread one. A May Grey. This is, it's quite rough. It's got a tear on the back, so let's have a look through here. Yeah, this is going to go on my upgrade list as well. Spine's starting to come away. So quite a rough old book here, 826. May Grey Travels South. Let's see if I can get some glue just slid in there. Yeah, this is here on A Borrowed Time, this particular one. All the May Grey books are out there, but because they're so popular, they're often in a rough old state like this one because they've just been read a few times more than anything, you know. And you just have to bear that in mind when you're looking for crime titles, you know, that they're not always going to be in the best of conditions, you know. This one certainly has seen better days. Grace is another one that's a little bit on the rough side, and it's water damaged. So I'll put this on my upgrade list as well if it's not already. 827 May Grace, it's out. Similar. Another one. It's just a bit rough to have in the main sort of collection, whereas this is obviously, you know, near perfect, as good as you're likely to want to ever find. Very, very nice indeed, that one. Sadly, they're not all like that. That's lovely. That's what they would have looked like when they were brand new. This looks like it's part of a Simonon 5. I have sort of concentrated on upgrading the Agatha Christie's. I've never really bothered with upgrading the Simonons, but I enjoy them when I read them. So I think, you know, I'm going to keep my eyes peeled for some slightly better copies. Once again, this one's pretty borderline, so I'm going to put it on the list. 829 Havoc by Accident. It feels like it's just been read so many times. 830 Escape in Vain. But what I do when I go through and edit these videos, I'll have my my Penguin wants list in front of me, and ones which I mention that I want to upgrade, I shall I add them to the list, you know. It's good when you're out and about, and then you know, for whatever reason, you just come across a little pile of old penguins, and they say, like, I don't know, £2 each or something like that. It's fine, but you only want to be picking up the ones that you actually need or you really want to upgrade, and leave the rest for someone else. Aldous Huxley. So again, a little bit on the worn side, a couple of these. That's quite nice, isn't it, for the Grapes of Wrath? Steinbeck's an author I definitely enjoy. And that's a nice copy of his, well, some might say one of his, well, it is one of his most famous works, certainly. Another great one, Tree Grows in Brooklyn. Okay. Hornblower, Happy Return. Do love the Hornblower books. I really, really do. They're great. Kate O'Brien. This one you see there in the corner, I've shown a few of these before. That's from the Harry Arnold collection. He was the Penguin Warehouse guy, so that's why that one's in really nice condition. And that signature I want to leave in there because it's like from a named or known collection. It's just got a little bit of provenance to it, you know. Here's a famous one, Animal Farm, the first Penguin printing of that. I've had multiple copies of these through my hands. It never really turns up in nice condition when it's a first edition, a bit like 1984. It's just such a classic book, you know what I mean? Tends to go for a few pounds these days, even in the Penguin first edition. I did have a friend who, in the 90s, managed to get a first hardback edition of Animal Farm. Even back then it was worth a couple of thousand. I think it's a bit more than that now. There we are. So not great, but you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. Crazy like a fox. Now, I've been looking at the collection of what I've got. Now, most of my individual sorts of series, minor series, i.e. not Pan and not Penguin, we have pretty much done them all, I think. You know, I don't think there's anything we've missed. But what we have still got is, I haven't really started on the hardbacks properly. We've got the last sort of tail end of the large format books to do. And we've got absolutely stacks and stacks of Pan and Penguin still to do. So that eventually is what it's going to end up being. It's going to be, I'll try and mix up as much as possible, but, you know, I think it's going to be Pan and Penguin come the end. That's what we're going to be doing because that's what I've got so much to do. And as I said, I pull a box of books per video. But if you're watching this and you're looking for a bit of variety, just go on over to my main channel really, and you'll see lots of different book series and things that I collect. So. Even though that's got some writing inside, like that, externally, it's not too bad. So I'm not going to be too worried about that. And the last one from this pile is The Franchise Affair, Josephine Tay. Still in 1951. Lovely. Right, so we need to give all these the brush down now. So not too bad having to repair many of these, like with glue or anything, but they will still need a brush down. Let's start with the Evelyn Walls. Yeah, I'm a little disappointed with the condition of some of those because, as I said, he's an author I'm looking to do a special on, so I might need to see if I can get some slightly better copies before I do my thing. I know Brideshead Revisited, because it's such a sort of classic book, it is one of those first edition paintings that tends to go for a little bit more than you might expect than from other books in the period. dark tops of the Simonons there, because they were quite low grade in comparison to some of the other ones. Lovely. Right. So, last one, Plain Murder by C.S. Forster, who was the Hornblower author. Nice copy of that. Left with Love. Look at that. Someone's written that on the front. Nice copy of that one. Oh, this one was 1952, so we have moved on a year. 71 years old. First and only plays we'll see today with the red. There we are. It's better, isn't it? Travel one as well. Tiny little bit of the bottom of the spine to be re-glued. Let's get this out first of all. corners bent over there. Yeah, not perfect this one. What I've tried to do after, I suppose, about around number 1000 or so, I've been a lot pickier, unless it's been something I've really, really wanted. I've been a lot pickier about the condition that the books are in, because obviously space is at a premium, and I only want sort of the best of the later books, if that makes sense. So my later Penguins aren't too bad, although they've never really been cleaned. When I've come across them and picked them up, I've tried to be careful and not pick up too many sort of lower grade ones, whereas with the first 1000 I always was, the intention was to finish it and then upgrade them as I went along. And as I said, that's really only the upgrading part is only something that I've happened to start doing these last sort of couple of years or so. Unfortunately, there is a distinct lack of that's lovely, of vintage Penguin specialist dealers, so you do have to resort sometimes to just going online, which is, you know, not ideal, but sometimes it's the only way to do it. But buying an individual Penguin online is an expensive way to do it. You know, you want to be buying from a specialist, you're going to get several in one hit, and they're all going to be under one postage parcel. You know, it's much more economical to do it that way, to buy from a specialist. But there is only a couple of them in the UK now, and you know, rarely do they have something that I want, or if they do, you know, your names are in a lucky dip draw or in sealed bids or something like that, and it just drives you around the twist, to be honest. Stick a price on it and sell it. You know, why does it have to go through all these stupid hoops to get stuff? It just is beyond me, you know. But there you go. If I could be half-assed, I would actually just go into dealing in rare Penguins and just blanket everywhere with wants ads, and I could finish the collection that way. Unfortunately, I just don't have the time to do that. Else I definitely would. You do find that historically, the people who've got the best Penguin collections these days were once dealers, or yeah, I mean, almost always they were dealers. They were having people sending them collections, usually, unfortunately, when the collectors had passed away, and they've been given the name of someone. You know, the widow, generally, because they're mainly male collectors for penguins, mainly. The widow had been given the name of this dealer, and the dealers ended up with the books. That tends to be how it happens these days with big collections. Or they just go straight to a university library. That's the other thing that can happen with them. They get bestowed to a university library under their name, which I suppose is another quite cool way of doing it. So Chandler, high window. I mean, my copy is not as nice as I would like it, so I'm going to put this one on my wants list. 851, the high window, Raymond Chandler. It's probably one, if it does turn up, it'll probably be a few pounds. So I'll keep my eyes peeled for a better one of that though now. It's got a big 9 on the front cover, so thankfully this is coming off all right. sometimes you get the odd mark on the front, and it can just be like a fingerprint or something like that, you know. Sometimes a bit of the rubber can do wonders if you just do it sort of softly with a soft one like mine. It can sometimes pick up little bits of dirt. I don't tend to bother with things like that, but this is such a nice sharp copy. Just little bits like that can make a difference. Yeah, this is another one from the W.H. Arnold collection, by the look of it. Actually, it's not. It's not from that collection. It's just had the signature in the corner similar to it, but it's not. It's stamped completely differently, so. I think I'm going to be able to get that out. It needs to be just the right height, which is proving to be difficult. There we are. Of course, now these are all out of order. 851 goes on there. 852, 853, 854. That's the next one, 855, which is a Simonon double. For generally, Simonon's books weren't that long, so Penguin did publish a few as like 2 books in one, like that one there, you know. Oh, and this next one looks like it's going on the once. Let's look at the state of it. It's another Simonon. Why am I surprised, eh? So it's 856, A Crime in Holland. Upgrade. Big time. It's just been very, very rough, that, indeed. It's just hammered, isn't it, you know? Still. Although the Simonons are picked up and they are collected. Also, they did sell fairly well, so they are out there, you know. Yeah, not great, that one, but it'll do as a filler. It's pretty dirty as well, isn't it? It's like some of these Simonons that I got had at some point been stored in a really damp sort of place, and I reckon they've all come from the same sort of source. This one is better than some of the ones we had a look at just now, in all honesty. This one's obviously from a different source. It looks much, much cleaner and brighter. Just the top edge there needs gluing down. Which is in there. Slide that under that little slit. Like so. And clear up my muck. Novel on yellow paper, Stevie Smith. That's fine. Priestly Companion. And a bit like comics, most collectors I know say that their condition gets much, much stricter as time goes on. And mine is no different. I'm absolutely shocked at the condition of some of these. But I also know back in the day, I may have bought these 20, 30 or more years ago. I was just glad to find any. Yeah, and usually they were out in the wild. So this one's on the upgrade list as well. So John Dixon Carr, 862, The Hollow Man. Very little that I can do with that one. Off to Philadelphia in the Morning, Jack Jones. Got a big 1 and 6 in. Nice from that. And then the last one is 864. More work for the Undertaker. Look at that. Blimey. Should be quite an easy fix though, because it's so clean. You can just put it straight on. So it's interesting, that's what, 3 that we've had, which have the spines have almost come away completely. Very, very interesting. But it just reflects, as I said, the production process that was in use, the time that these books were being published, which was 51, 52, wasn't it? So it's merely a sign of the times. Okay, well that was the last one. So, barring any more that we might see, we just got to give this last pile the brush off. Now, next week it will definitely be another batch of pans, because we need to crack on with those. That much is for certain. So look out for a nice pan video next week. We're still doing the great pans at the moment, so we're working our way through those, but we're nearing the end. Let's put it that way. We're nearing the end. Sometimes these require a bit of tactical brushing on the top as well, like that. Well, this Ruth Park one here, I'm going to slip a slither of glue in the top of the spine. Just coming away, so that's keeps it looking good. So yeah, if you've enjoyed this video, do please give it the thumbs up. Leave a comment below if you have enjoyed it. Share it if you can. Reddit's very, very good. If you can share it on some of the sort of the unintentional ASMR groups, that always is very, very handy. Gets the word out. Please subscribe. It costs nothing, but does grow the audience a little bit, which is great news. It shows YouTube that you're sort of enjoying the content. Obviously, if you'd like to support the channel further, you can become a patron over at patreon.com/Jules Barrett, or you can go over to my other channel and join right here through YouTube as a channel member and get a credit in all future videos. And you get to see at least one video a week early. But thanks very much for watching today. And I'll look forward to seeing you again next week when we'll be doing some more Pam books. There we go. Bye.